Roughly, I think I'm roughly where I quit last time. In the meantime, I went and just ground out a bunch of resources. I also streamed most of that. You can go see it, but obviously that won't be preserved for posterity. I just figured people don't necessarily want to watch just like hunting and stuff for leather. But I didn't do any of the upgrades yet, so just go ahead and do that. Like I said before, I'm going through the whole game, pretty much documenting everything except little grindy things like getting in-game resources and stuff. That's kind of tedious, and I doubt anybody wants to watch me just like run around and hunt gazelles or whatever. Oh, I have 2 ability points to use, so life can regenerate during combat. Extra XP, pretty much have to go with that, I think. Wait, where's the one where you can control the arrow? Second bow. That's not it. Enhanced predator bow. Yeah, that's the one we need. Can I get that with 2? Not quite. Okay, go ahead and get this, and then I'm just going to save that ability point for when I get another one so I can get this immediately, because then it'll actually be worthwhile to get the headshot XP, because I don't know about you, but I'm not going to score very many headshots with just the hunter bow. Pretty much need to have better control than that. And what else? So let's see what our quests are. Family reunion. Terramoon and the farmers. That's the one where I go into the fort and get them out. This is the one where I go after some bandits. I think that's probably best to get out of the way because it's not quite as fun. Looks like there's a question mark up here. I think that is the actual bandit cave. And there's this fast travel point that I should probably go ahead and unlock as I do all those things. I don't know about that fort, whether I need to... I don't know whether I should do that on this trip or the next one. The Valhalla feature where you just hold the button down and automatically climb on the horse is pretty awesome. Definitely a needed improvement. Maybe not needed, but a good improvement. Because if you're calling your horse, you almost always want to go ahead and jump on it and go wherever you're going. It makes sense to build that into the controls. So there's not really that much to be said about wandering through these rocky desert features. They do a good job with it. It's wow, I've never used this before in this this playthrough. That's weird. They do a good job recreating the landscape, but I don't know that there's really that much to be said about it. This is a rocky desert. It looks like rocky deserts that you can find just about anywhere in the world. Southwest U.S.
I used to come here as kids.
Peruvian coast.
Bandits must be inside. Kit?
Oh, here's this guy.
Is that you? What are you doing?
Bayek, I heard you were back. Keep quiet. They'll hear you.
Who will hear me?
The bandits. The bastards took over the spring. Almost everyone on this side of Siwa gets their water from here.
Oh man. Should probably use any of the other springs since this place is full of bandits. Siwa has lots of springs. Wow. I love that you're so much more invisible in this game than you are in Valhalla.
Hey, wait! Hey, stop!
I would never even imagine
The farmers depend on this spring.
being invisible long enough to kill anyone. It kind of makes the 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 enemies seem kind of stupid because they're like looking right at you and they don't even see you. But in Valhalla, it seems like you can sneak around like crazy, and you know, the second you assassinate one person, everyone in the fort sees you, and you're just totally screwed. Works as a pretty effective shield break. Died on his own. That's convenient. Go ahead and finish that guy. Don't want any random enemies rolling around. Let's see if I can actually do some assassination. I've kind of got out of the habit of even trying to take a whole fort using like stealth tactics, because it's just not that good in Valhalla. You're just pretty much guaranteed not to get very far. Like I said, more or less the second you sneak up and assassinate one person, it somehow alerts everyone else, or you try to assassinate someone and it just doesn't quite work, or whatever. But Origins, it's definitely the game is just configured in such a way that it's a much more effective strategy. So let's see if we can actually do some good with that. And by good, I mean murder, obviously. But these guys seem evil, so justifiable on the side, I guess. I don't know. Come on. Alright. Oh. Well, wasn't that a mistake? There we go. Okay, let's hide somewhere. Okay, he's just gonna stand there guarding the empty cave. Oh wow, there's a dude right there. Somehow he didn't turn around.
Hey! Wait a minute!
It's such a pain in the ass.
Die then!
I don't think there's really anything at all to be said about this from an Egyptological perspective. No, not that one. This one. It's a cave. Caves are actually kind of significant in Egyptian mythology. So they're frequently associated with the underworld.
That's it. Bandits will think twice before coming back here.
Yes. Okay. Now I can get my hunter bow. That's the wrong name. Predator bow. Yeah, controllable predator bow is far and away. It's the best thing about this game, and somebody somehow convinced Ubisoft that it made the game too easy, because they've been making it less effective ever since. And I don't really understand why, because everyone loves it.
Spring, you got it back. Thank the gods. The farmers need this desperately. I'm very grateful, Bayan. It's like having our Magi back again.
I'm glad I could help.
May Amun walk with you, Seni.
Okay. So that worked out pretty well. I feel like I left a lot of loot behind, but I think I conquered that area. Yeah, it's got a check mark. So whatever. If I left any random loot behind, I'm going to try to control myself and not spend ages running around and making sure I get every little tiny bag of coins or whatever. I should murder these goats, though. Sheep? Goats? Whatever they are.
Whoa.
Interesting.
Whoa.
Okay, so I'm going to unlock this fast travel point just because I'm here. And in Origins, this is a pretty nice component of the gameplay. Unlocking these improves Senu's ability to mark targets when you're sneaking into a fort or something, so there's really powerful incentive to go unlock all the fast travel points as you go along. Can't remember if that's true in Odyssey. I don't remember whether there's quite the same incentive.
Are you obsessive about getting sync points?
Yeah, it's actually really bad. Because people are watching me play this, I'm trying to, like, control my weirdness a little bit and not do what I normally do, which is just, it's so weird, it's embarrassing. So what I normally do is I tag the points on the map, and, like, during a normal workday, I'll get up in the morning and, like, tag the next sync point on the map, and then set my horse to just go there and, like, turn off the TV and turn it on in the afternoon and sync that point, and then start it again and, like, get up in the morning and do that. And I'll unsync, or I'll sync every single point in the whole game before really doing anything else, because I'll just, like, let it do that for days while I'm, like, you know, doing my normal work and stuff. But it's amazing because then Senu works incredibly well, and you can just fast travel to other things. Like when you do a quest, if it's on the other side of the map, you can just fast travel to it and not run around, which I realize is like borderline cheating. But yeah, I absolutely do that. I love having all the fast travel points synced. I'm also just like a terrible gamer. Like I want games to be as easy as they possibly can be. So like, I'll do pretty much anything to make it less work. I'll just like send Bayek on the horse to run around the empty map with the TV turned off while I'm just like at my desk working. Yeah. I don't know if I should tell people about that, but that's what I do. If there was a button...
really useful for Origins. It's
Yeah.
not possible in Odyssey because of all the water. Might work in Valhalla since the horses can swim.
Yeah, so I don't think the chat actually gets on the video, so I'm going to try to remember to repeat. So that comment was, it's really useful in Origins, not so much in Odyssey because of all the water, so you can't actually just like ride the horse to the different fast travel points. But probably useful, wow, wrong button again. Probably useful in Valhalla. Yeah, I haven't really done it in Valhalla for some reason. I think it's, yeah, I don't really know why for sure. I think with Origins, I'm like very, very intent on doing absolutely everything, and with Valhalla, I'm, you know, it's not a place that grabs me to the same extent, so I'm less worried about like making sure that I do every single quest and like unlock every single thing that there is to see in there. So I'm just a little more lax about it, but I'm generally pretty obsessive about seeing every single site in Origins. I know there's another quest on here that I should be very close to. Yeah, let's do this. Let's go help these guys. I need to check this real quick. I might have upgrades. No, I need more wood. And I think that's called hard leather. Pretty much need more of all these resources, so we'll just do that later. But I can switch to a different weapon. And purple is rare, so there's, I don't know what you call blue, regular or whatever, unmarked, and then rare, And then legendary, I guess there's like 3 tiers. Blue, purple, and gold. I think that's how it is. And what does that mean? Quality 15. Damage 55 per second. There's no units given, so 55 damage units, quality 15 quality units.
Just another reason I don't think you'd want to do a full Odyssey playthrough. To do absolutely everything will take about 250 hours.
So the comment was, I don't think you want to do a complete Odyssey playthrough. To do everything will take about 250 hours. I feel like you might be underestimating my ability to play this game for a long time. But it also will just be like so much video. That's kind of on purpose. I kind of purposely want to create this permanent record of all the things I find in here, both for because like a lot of people have been interested in kind of learning about the Egyptological components of the game, but also just for me, like if I continue to write about it or continue to talk about you know, the ancient world and video games, all those YouTube videos are also a great way of preserving all this information for myself to go look at later. So I probably will do a complete playthrough, and it will just be like an absurdly long YouTube playlist of, yeah, just this random guy spending his Saturdays playing this entire huge open world game. Okay, so now I'm just
you could totally play 400 hours of Origins.
you could
But
totally
Odyssey
play.
and ancient Greece are really grindy and annoying after a while.
Yeah, so you could totally play 400 hours of Origins, but Odyssey gets really grindy. Yeah, I totally agree. For some reason, Odyssey, I think there's this big lull in the middle where you have to go to that one island where there's all of the Isu stuff, like in that cavern, and then you have to run through that super long cavern, and then you get like another adrenaline slot or something. And there's this huge part in the middle where you're just kind of like getting more adrenaline slots and like going back to that island several times. And the story itself, like the narrative, doesn't really advance that much in all that time. You're just like literally leveling up your character and getting more slots for like resources
Odyssey
and health.
has 3 major level jumps that force you to do a bunch of side quests.
Odyssey has 3 major level jumps that force you to do a bunch of side quests. Yeah, yeah, that's true. I don't even remember all the details that well, but I do remember in Odyssey kind of like not being sure what exactly it was I wanted to be doing versus what I was actually doing. I distinctly remember that feeling of like, okay, I'm in the immediate short term, I'm going to this place to get this thing, but like in narrative terms, in terms of like the overall arc, what am I actually doing and why am I doing it? I felt like that was a big problem. Headshot. Let's go ahead and take that guy down. Oh, I switched to the pilum, this long spear, because it is far and away the best weapon in this game.
Biggest one is going to the Cycladic Islands. They level jump you from 2.5 to 3.1.
Going to the Cycladic Islands, they level jump you from 25 to 31. Yeah, I don't really remember that, unfortunately. I don't even remember the Cycladic Islands, and that seems like something I would have been really interested in and probably paid attention to at the time, but it kind of all blurs together.
When I find you, I'm going to rip your eyes out.
Wow, man, that's violent.
Has the danger passed?
Nope.
Without spoiling, if you meet a major character on Naxos.
Meet a major character on Naxos. I just don't remember. I really should. I really should know. Look how much better you can do stealth things. And, like, it's pretty stilted, right? Like, this would never happen in real life. Nobody's gonna, like, see an enemy and be like, what? And then just, like, casually wander over there. But, man, it's so good that you can really sneak around and take down an entire fortress by just, like, sneaking around and taking people out one by one. I feel like that was true in Odyssey, too, as I remember. It's something that's really missing in Valhalla. Once you get found out in Valhalla.
I'm just your resident Odyssey expert over here.
Don't worry about it, I'm just your resident Odyssey expert over here. I know that's gotta be Lexi. I can't actually tell who's watching the stream, but I think I can guess. Alright, fellas, get out of here. I think the guy's dead.
Quickly, go. Where is Teramun?
Caught me.
Dear Moon.
Called it.
He has died from his wounds. His family will want to bury him properly.
Okay. Is there anything... Oh, there's a lot more things I need to do in here, but I'm just gonna... I'll come back later. The main quest will definitely take me back into the temple. Which is what that is. I don't think I said anything about that. But there's this little, like, fort that's adjacent to the temple. It's sort of behind and off to the side. So the front of the temple is on the other side of the building that we're looking at here. But this temple is just exceedingly well done. I would put students in here and tell them to walk around and get a sense of the layout and how everything is structured. Aside from, you know, spoiler alert, the staircase to the underground portion of it and all the stuff in there, this is a very good reconstruction of a sort of typical Egyptian temple from at least the New Kingdom on. You have kind of the rising land starting at the beginning. So you've got a pylon. In this case, it's a really simple, this crenellated mud brick pylon, but it looks really similar to ones that you'll see elsewhere, like nice stone ones with the kind of typical slanted walls and then flared cornice at the top, like you see on this part of the temple here, which is not actually rendering, but you know what it looks like. And then generally there's one main axis. So in this, the axis is a little off center.
Did most temples have little pools of water in them?
Did most temples have little pools of water? You know, I don't know about most. But yeah, a lot of things had little pools of water. So if you look at the Mekhet Ray models from the Met, you'll see one that is a household courtyard, and it looks almost just like this here. So a little pool with trees around it and a colonnade, and then behind that would be a house. And we have archaeological evidence of places like that, and obviously the Mekhet Ray models are Middle Kingdom, so they are authentic models of what buildings would have looked like. Pools of water would probably have been everywhere because they provide natural cooling. So Egyptian houses don't have wind towers like you see in later Persian architecture, but they did have courtyards with pools, especially, well, if you were wealthy, you had a courtyard with a pool in it, and then colonnades with open doorways so that air could kind of come in from below and go through the rooms. And then rooms, interior rooms, would often have windows set really high in the walls, and that was intentional. So that would let hot air out, sort of like transoms. If you've been in any old buildings in Texas, you'll see that above the doorways there are these kind of louvered panes of glass called transoms that serve the same function before air conditioning. They allow hot air to escape the room, and they keep the room normally like 10 to 15 degrees cooler Fahrenheit than the outside air. And then you add a pool of water to that, and you know that gives you a bit more cooling. And then you add the
I
fact
see
that...
the utility for having them outside. But would they have them inside temples as similar to the pools of water in Greek temples?
I have no idea because I don't know what the pools of water in Greek temples are for. I'm going the wrong way, aren't I? I'm going the wrong way. Oh, I dropped his corpse. Oh my gosh. I was thinking about temples and not paying attention to the corpse. Oh no, I don't know if I can even get him back. I might have to reset this quest. And he just sank to the bottom? Oh no. Do I have to go all the way around everything in Siwa to get back to that? Yeah, I can't pick him up.
Pools of water in Greek temples were to prevent the statues from drying out. They were like ancient humidifiers.
Pools of water in Greek temples were to prevent the statues from drying out. They were like ancient humidifiers. I've never heard about that before. That's really interesting. Could be. I truly don't know. I know that there were usually pools outside. Inside kind of seems unlikely to me. I mean, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't, but I just can't think of an example of having seen any evidence for interior pools. Oops. Man, I just cannot get those buttons down. I push the wrong one every time. Wow. Amazing. I'm sure glad this is being recorded for posterity. Okay. Now, let's put him on the horse. Wow.
I can't speak to that for all temples, but I learned about the pool in the Parthenon to keep the Athena Parthenos intact.
I can't speak, quoting, I can't speak to it for all temples, but I learned about it in the Parthenon to keep the Athena Parthenos intact. Yeah, makes sense. It was ivory, right? I guess ivory can't dry out, or it will crack, I suppose. I don't really know. I'm just going around the temple now. We can admire its architecture. Oh, there was something else I was going to mention about the temple. In this case, it's been fortified with mud brick walls with crenellations at the top. They don't look like the crenellations that you see on medieval castles. They've got kind of this round shape to them. All of that is authentic. A lot of temples, New Kingdom temples, were later fortified during the Third Intermediate period against...
Behold what becomes of those who disobey Medunamun, priest to the Pharaoh. Take care you faithfully follow his beneficent commands.
Murder this jerk. He doesn't look friendly. Oh, I can't kill him. That's lame.
Bitch!
Bitch.
What?
I'll kill you!
I wish I could kill that guy. That guy
Goodness's
sucks.
Athena was 40 foot tall, made out of gold, ivory, and chrysolephantine. And there should have been a small pool in the Temple of Z.
I don't think that came through exactly correctly. But the Athena statue was made of gold and ivory and chrysanthemums, maybe? I don't know what that other word was. Definitely didn't get pronounced by the robot voice correctly. Yeah, that makes sense. Giant humidifier. I wonder if it had a cooling... I mean, Greece is... Greece is...
Chrysolephantine.
Chrysolephantine? Okay, going back to the temples. A lot of temples were
What have they done to Teramun's
kind of built up and fortified later to be defensible against things like roaming bands of brigands or even like enemy
Where is Issa?
nations.
She lies here with her son and daughter.
The entire family.
Sadly, I see Terramoon also paid the price for his recklessness.
I warned him that his rebelliousness would bring torment and suffering.
But what happened?
They saw the soldiers coming and hid in the cellar. But the soldiers burnt the house to the ground to teach everyone a lesson.
I am sorry.
Put the body down there. They will journey to the door together.
Man, Bayek is so handsome.
So many deaths in the Wahat. We cannot give them a proper burial.
Okay.
It is not your rebelliousness that got you killed, Seni.
Sounds like it's
It
the
is Ptolemy's
soldiers.
sick regime. He is a bad pharaoh.
Just a bad pharaoh. He is the Ted Cruz of ancient Egypt.
Find peace, Ted.
He will find more than he had here.
Okay, so that seems to have gone well. I'll find a new quest. Okay, let's do that, because it's going to make us anyway. And look, there's a quest right here. And this is going to be, I think...
Reagan.
Say Reagan. He's the Reagan of ancient Egypt. I can't decide who that's more offensive to, Ptolemy or Reagan. Ted Cruz going to Cancun is just my favorite news story I've heard in a very long time.
It does my heart good to have you.
You nursed Senu back to health. I never expected to see her again.
She is a tough old bird.
Like you, eh?
Bayek.
He's such a kidder,
Esteban tells
Bayek.
me you are healing the villagers as best you can. It would give me much pleasure to help you.
That is kind of you. May your car be blessed.
It's the
I
Ka
can
again?
always use help.
The life force?
Soldiers are brutes. Almost every villager has cuts, bruises, broken bones. To help them, I put together a makeshift perronk in the old ruined temple. Friends bring me medicine from Yamu, but now the soldiers stop everyone entering the village and steal their goods. So, we tried to bring medicine on a boat instead.
And the soldiers stopped that also.
They sank the last shipment. The medicine jars are scattered across the bottom of the lake.
Ha ha ha,
I will
let
get
them
them for
eat
you.
cake for Ptolemy is
Thank you,
like let
Bayek.
them have supply
Bring it
side
to
for
the
middle
temple.
class
I
America.
must go there now.
The medicine could be anywhere in this lake. Senu can help me.
Yeah, supply side is a really funny thing. It's just one of these obvious cases of, like, I feel like so much of what you research and talk about in an academic context is just like finding motivated reasoning and pointing it out and then addressing it. Because like as human beings, most of what we believe is, you know, much more emotionally than it is rationally decided. And like supply side economics or like Reaganomics or whatever you want to call it is just obviously bullshit. Like, it just has no validity whatsoever. People are just pretending it does. I mean, there are definitely malicious actors who are sort of deliberately fake. Like, they know that it's not a real thing. They're smart enough to see that it's bullshit, but it benefits them to pretend it's real. And then there's just this huge, like, braying mass of morons who really want to support the idea that if they act like shitty people, they'll get rich someday or something. I don't know. It's like the main life philosophy of most of the people I grew up with, and I still don't understand it. But it's basically like, you know, if we keep working for the pharaoh, we'll have a pyramid of our own someday or something. So it's just like the philosophy of extreme selfishness, but it also isn't true. Like, it's never going to happen. So it's kind of just wishful thinking. And all of that whole philosophy, it's been disproven over and over, but, you know, you can disprove it till you're blue in the face. Won't change anything if people want to believe it. And most of what we believe is what we want to believe.
How dare you besmirch the hard work of the Pharaoh and the GOP, ha ha ha.
Yeah. No, I will definitely happily publicly besmirch the GOP, especially right now. You know, I'm in Houston, Texas. The whole like pretty much all of our infrastructure failed in the past week because it snowed. This classic, like, Republican strategy of privatize profits and socialize costs. Yeah, they have a pretty serious PR problem right now. I don't think me randomly talking shit while playing a video game
They worked very hard to figure out such diabolical ways to screw people over and keep them poor.
Yeah, so that comment was they worked very hard to come up with such diabolical ways to screw people over and keep them poor. Honestly, on that, that's kind of a, like, give the devil his due situation. Yeah, I mean, they're pretty clever. You know, Reaganomics is just like, let's find a way to pretend that just, like, funneling public resources into the hands of people who are already fabulously wealthy is good for society. I mean, you know, hats off to you. I wouldn't even know where to begin. It seems like an impossible challenge. Convince most people that it's a good idea for them to just, like, take all of the things that we built together for hundreds of years and just literally hand them to people who are already filthy rich, and do it happily with a smile on your face. I mean, it's just brilliant.
Also boo wind turbines. Sad. Privatized electric grids win by glee.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently renewable energy is the problem somehow.
Javier is waiting for these jars.
Even though it was the gas that went offline. It's just a really strange claim.
We're you winners.
That also was incomprehensible. That comment didn't come through clearly because of the robot voice. Maybe I should just turn on the comments, but I feel like I got this far. I should definitely go kill some crocodiles at some point. Let's see what we have here in terms of weapons. Okay, I don't actually... Cute, but with a Y. I have an idea. I'm just going to open up Twitch on my laptop, and then I can go see them, and if I don't understand, I'll just look at what they say. Let's see what we got. Oh. We're huge winners. Huge, but with a Y. Okay, I got it. Like the Trump pronunciation. Yeah, that's the way my mom pronounces it, too, which is kind of fun. Like, if you ask her where she lives, she'll say Houston with no H. When she does it, it's adorable. When Trump does it, you know, it's gross, like anything else he does. Okay, so we're going to what Rabia referred to as the Perranch, which means House of Life. There's all kinds of debate about exactly what the Perranch is. We have quite a few attestations of it. It was long thought to be the Egyptian word for scriptorium, or essentially like library. Some people claimed that it was something like school or university, like library and scribal training place and, you know, priest training place and all these things like combined into one. But it's recently been argued that it was a kind of a central repository for rituals dedicated to Osiris specifically. And I forget which Egyptologist argued that. There's a fairly recent paper that claims that and makes a convincing argument.
What has happened? Why aren't the patients in the temple ruins?
The soldiers threw us out. Even though I paid the Nomarch to allow me to use the temple, every few weeks soldiers come to take our medicine and food stocks. Always the same soldiers. They call it a tribute.
Since they
The
use
tax for
so
the
many
Pharaoh's
Egyptian
royal
words,
army.
why did they not
We
choose to
barely
call
have what's needed
Egypt
to take care of
Kemet?
the poor souls that need our help.
Oh man, that I couldn't tell you.
Don't worry, Rabia.
Probably wouldn't
I will
be
make certain they don't
Kemet.
bother you
Well,
anymore.
Be careful, Bayek.
they would say Kemet though, actually, because they always use like the Middle Egyptian pseudo pronunciation for things. So they probably would say Kemet. The actual word is Kema at this time. Yeah, at this time it would have been pronounced Kema because this is whatever 1st century BC. 59 BC or 49 BC, I can never remember. So the word would have been Kema. Why did they call it Egypt in the game?
Guards here are vigilant.
I don't know. I mean, that does seem like sort of an obvious situation.
To me, brothers!
Spotted. Gosh, I've gotten so flabby when it comes to sneaking because I just haven't been doing it in Valhalla at all.
Trouble here! Come on!
Makes you appreciate these lights.
Impressive. What strength!
Okay, that went about as well as it could have for having completely blown it.
Is the Coptic word for the House of Light called Pranch?
I will deal with you.
It is actually. I don't know what you actually wrote. Hang on, I'm gonna go ahead and look at the comments. It's a Coptic word for the House of Life called Pranch. Yes. Yes, it is called Pranch. We don't really know, but there's a word that means basically fortune teller or, you know, something like wizard or whatever in Coptic that is spranch, and that is the entire phrase. Oops, the entire phrase "scribe of the House of Life." So, like sah or zechai per anch, and then it became sort of a fossilized phrase, so it merged into one word. And I think that's the one Coptic remnant of that phrase that we have, if I remember correctly. So yeah, something like pranch. Of course, in Coptic, the ein and glottal stop characters merged, so that sound's not present. And then in a lot of dialects of Coptic, in specific contexts, the velar fricative h sound became a palatal or like alveolar fricative, the sh sound. So yeah, Pransh. Except for Achmimic. Who is this? Who's saying these things? Who knows? Is this who I think it is? If it is, you should go to bed. Isn't it like 3 in the morning? What are you doing? I guess it is Saturday. Nice. Right in the
1 p.m.
Oh, that's not too bad. Look how nice these colors are. Oh man, these are fantastic. I just noticed it as I was walking by. That's like a great color combo. I really enjoy it.
They say desert in the game, but why not label it desert on the map if not having that vocalized in game?
How does it label it on the map? Oh, there's just FYI, there's someone watching a basketball game. They do label it desert. There's someone watching a basketball game literally on a different floor and on the other end of the house. So if you hear sporting event reactions, just know that they are traveling that far to get all the way into this stream. So it must be a really exciting something going on. Anyway, yeah, why don't they call it Deshret? You know, the choices that they made with language in this game are the one part that I will just never be able to figure out for my own, because they just don't make any sense to me. It's just, you know, here you have this wonderful opportunity to literally simulate the spoken environment of a dead language and just kind of like bring it totally back to life in a simulated environment. I don't know how you could miss that, but again, I'm a huge language nerd, and you know, plenty of people don't see it the same way, and I can't really expect them to, because I don't think the way I see it is necessarily
I think they would call
reasonable.
one of the deserts Desheret, but Desheret Desert sounds funny too.
Oh yeah, Desheret Desert. Yeah, I thought... Once you said it, I remembered that there was one way down here. It's the one that has this super creepy, like, Isu thing in it. Which is kind of cool, honestly. As much as I hate all the, like, alien sci-fi elements of these games, I'm just not into it. Hate's too strong word. I'm just not into it. But that one is really cool. It's like cool
Ancient
architecture.
aliens
Did you succeed?
confirmed.
Ancient aliens
Right,
confirmed.
It's the place
The
with
temple
the
is yours
scary
now.
lightning
Those
skeletons.
soldiers won't bother you
Yes.
again.
All my patients thank you.
I almost forgot to give you your medicines from the sunken boat.
Spooky.
In
It's
all the
spooky. Yeah,
excitement
it's
of
cool. It's also
Odessy
cool,
itself.
like,
The Oasis of Siwa is lucky to have you.
it's like
back.
cool world building. It's not my thing, but they did a
Promise
good
me
job
you will
with
not
it, and it's
become
really
consumed
creative and
with
interesting.
vengeance, Bayek.
Oh, wait.
Think of nothing else. By the grace of Amun, one day I will be free of it.
Why would Bayek not become consumed by vengeance, though? Like, what else does he need to be doing? That seems totally reasonable. Did I get all the stuff?
Did
Gosh.
you ever find the meteor that leads to the tomb that houses the sword from Final Fantasy?
Is that what that is? Yeah, I definitely did find it, and we're gonna find it again too. I don't know when we're gonna do that. Isn't it like... It's like you're in Giza and a meteor comes and hits the ground, and you have to like line something up with like an obelisk and the sunlight or something. Okay, checked this off. Yeah, I definitely did that. I didn't know it was from Final Fantasy. I've never played Final Fantasy. So to me, it was just like kind of a random thing that didn't fit and I didn't understand. But now that you say that, it makes a lot of sense. It's intertextuality. You know, it's connecting to another video game, which I really should have played. You know, as a person who claims to be well-read and educated, I should know about it, but I just don't. I actually wasn't allowed to play video games as a child. It's kind of a weird thing, but my mom was convinced that like video games rot your brain, and I had to read books. I think she's totally wrong about that, and like numerous studies have now shown that that's not at all correct. But you know, this was the 90s, and we didn't actually know that video games teach you useful things at the time. So I didn't really play anything until I was an adult, and I
There are
could
other
just...
Final Fantasy Easter eggs. One of the mounts looks like a chocobo bird, and outside of the animus you can see a stuffed anim.
Oh, neat. Okay, so there are other Final Fantasy Easter eggs. One of the mounts looks like a chocobo bird. Okay, I did wonder what the hell that thing was. And outside of the animus, you can see a stuffed animal from Final Fantasy.
My
All right, so
parents also forbade me from owning or playing video games too. I didn't get my PS4 until college.
my parents also forbade me from owning or playing video games too. I didn't get a PS4 until college. Yeah. I think the first video game I ever played was Prince of Persia, and I was like an adult. I was young, but I was, you know, and I thought it was just like the funnest thing I'd ever encountered in my whole life. I think I played Mario Kart like at friends' houses and things occasionally growing up, but if you don't own any video games, you just don't really get the same experience. It's just kind of like a passing thing that you encounter. And
I attribute my ability to concentrate on one thing for a long time to having played Pokemon on Game Boy.
I believe it. Actually, that might be true. So I have almost no ability to focus at all. I'm like the most ADD person I know. And my wife is like the most focused person I've ever seen. We're like totally polar opposites. And she was a huge Pokemon nerd. It's kind of embarrassing because she knows what everything is and I don't. How am I still not learning that button? I knew there was going to be some shit in this little tower.
Back when Pokemon still required you to grind and train up.
When Pokemon still required you to grind and train. I feel like I played Pokemon Go for the same month when everyone else played it. And it actually felt pretty grindy to me, honestly. I would definitely describe it as a bit of a grind. Vulture lair. Wow. I'm just kind of distractedly...
I had something if you count a Nintendo DS. Many hours of Harry Potter Quidditch World Cup, Nintendogs, and Pokemon. The mainline Pokemon games are geared towards babies now.
Oh, the mainline Pokemon games are for babies. I did not know that. Pokemon Go was the only one I ever played. Now they are. Yeah.
They used to be harder.
Okay. Yeah, when you were a kid, they were way harder, right? That's what you're saying? I think I got you.
Yeah.
What is this? What are we doing here? It's a vulture's lair, and there's some random loot to get. It's basically just a question mark on the map. But I probably do have to go kill all these vultures. This is kind of neat, though, because it's an opportunity to talk about... Wow, that's dark. It's an opportunity to talk about things like Lahun. So there's this city... oh, you stupid. This is totally my fault. I should have just arrowed him. There's a city that was built during the Middle Kingdom for the workers that served the cult of a dead pharaoh. And I should really know which dead pharaoh, and I can't remember at the moment. One of the Middle Kingdom ones, like 12th Dynasty pharaoh. And then it was sort of slowly abandoned, and then it was excavated by Petrie, and he found... like, you can kind of imagine it was like this at some point. And then there was, like, evidence of people having interacted with the place when it was sort of at this stage. And before ever playing this game, when reading, in grad school, reading books about Lahun, I always tried to imagine, like, you try to imagine the place when it's occupied and it's like a real living town. Then I found it sort of fascinating to imagine, like, well, all that stuff's been there since the time it was a town until now. There's 3,000 years in between, and it was there the whole time. I think it's very easy when sort of reconstructing things from archaeological remains, you kind of fast forward between like what we have today and what there was then. But of course, for that to be true, it had to have existed in the middle as well. And I just always found it kind of fun when like daydreaming in class to imagine this stage of things. Because we have the, a few courses of brick in some places, and then on sort of at the top of the hill where the buildings would have been most exposed and where the land is highest, we have nothing. And then as the terrain goes down a little bit, we get more and more courses of bricks. So you can kind of see like how the area was eroded over time. Oh, good, sandstorm. And there it is. This game has probably the best depiction of sandstorms that I've seen in any narrative work. Movies always make it look like sandstorms.
Would there really have been tents all over?
Would there have been
They're everywhere
tents?
in the desert ruins, in some temples, and even in the cities and villag.
Yeah.
Jesus, such a long time to just stand around.
Would there have been tents? I think yes. So, actually,
In the ruins.
wait, hang on. Oh, the ruins, what a long time to stand around. Okay, so would there really have been tents all over? Like, they're everywhere in the desert ruins and some temples and even in the cities and villages? To that question, I think the answer is definitely yes. And we have a quest. let's see, we have a main quest that's going to take us back through the temple. And if I manage to remember, I will actually point out cases where we have like architectural evidence of that. And this is one of my favorite things. So I'm going to take a short break. I have to go to the bathroom. So I'll be back in like 2 minutes, and then we'll go check out that temple and see what's in there. Actually, in the meantime, let's just do this. Let's just send him on his way, and I'll be back in a couple minutes.
Hi guys. Be sure to grab some Girl Scout cookies while up.
Clear the way! Clear the way! You will not pass! We have this! Die, maggot!
I'm so very jealous that you have them. I would kill for something mince right about now.
All right.
I love the chewy caramely ones.
Oh, the Girl Scout cookies.
Get your pahu back here.
Well, I don't know. One of you says get Girl Scout cookies, and the other one says get back to it. Honestly, I've eaten so many Girl Scout cookies in the past couple of weeks. Yeah. It's definitely taken its toll. Okay. So do we do the main quest? I think yes. I think we should get after that. So we got to go into the temple. And, I don't know, maybe I'll just murder my way through the temple.
Lazy peasants! Make yourselves useful!
Wow, you are rude. I don't think you should talk to people like that.
This discussion is so wholesome. I stan any and all cookie talk.
Stan any and all cookie talk. Also, Girl Scouts. Like, gotta support Girl Scouts. Girl Scouts. It's such an awesome organization. So yeah, it's like win-win. You get cookies, and you get to support the Girl Scouts at the same time. Why wouldn't you buy Girl Scout cookies? They're also like, I don't know if it's just because you only have them once a year. They're like the best cookies. They're so good. I think it's just because like every time you have them, like you haven't had them in a year, and it's just like this really familiar thing. Yeah, I love it. It's such a great, like, classic, wholesome thing.
Something the NPCs shout when something bad happens. They shout, "Ha, bean." I bet it's supposed to be the Middle Egyptian word for evil.
It definitely is. They say ha bean a lot of times, and then sometimes they say
Is anyone there? If I wasn't
set
a
beanet.
I'd bash in all your skulls.
Oh man, this man is rude too. I don't like him.
Ah, yeah, Heru!
I don't think I'm supposed to murder him. He's not polite. I'm not a fan. Yeah, so they say ha bean, like, oh, bad, and they'll also say set beanet sometimes, which is just incorrect Egyptian. Wow, that's never happened to me before. How did I even do that?
I always thought set beanet was supposed to mean evil set.
Oh, but that would be Sute.
Get me out of here!
His name in Middle Egyptian isn't Set. It's Setech, and then in the New Kingdom it starts being written Sutech. But it could just be like that incorrectly. I think it's supposed to be Beanset. I think it's supposed to be a Middle Egyptian adjectival sentence, and it's just a mistake. that's you don't want to assume that, but I think that's really the most likely explanation. Which is, I'm being a little bit of a pedant No, I'm being a lot of a pedant by saying that, right? Like, how many people in the world really give a shit about the proper formation of an adjectival sentence in Middle Egyptian? Very few. Less than 1,000, certainly fewer than 1,000. Probably more than 10.
Does this game have an equivalent of shouting Malaka? NEK.
Yeah, neck. So, like, noke would probably be the Coptic verb. Or neek. It's actually cognate with the Arabic word. That means it's just the word fuck. The equivalent word in Arabic is like unique. God damn it. Wow, I'm so bad at this. I used to be so good at it, I swear.
Hey!
What do you want me to tell you? I know nothing.
I'm gonna arrow this dude before I do even worse. Where'd he go? There he is. Let's get that. Wait, do I have the headshot XP? I guess I should have checked before shooting him.
Gotta get you that hidden blade.
I know. I can't remember where I get it. I know it's in the main quest somewhere. I can also just leave them to suffer. I'm not opposed to that. They are, you know, serving the Ptolemies, so, yeah.
Dutch has a fun expression, Noiken in die Koiken. Noiken means the same as the Coptic Noik. Egyptian-Dutch connection confirmed.
Wow.
Alexandria with AI.
Amazing. Okay, I don't mean to change the subject, but there's a flamingo inside the house, which I've also never seen happen. That's fantastic.
There is a flamingo inside house.
Yes, there's a flamingo inside house. Why is that so delightful? I don't know, but it is. It's just hanging out in here. I don't want to bother it. I mean, I feel like it's looking at me like I'm interrupting something. Wait, is it even... Oh, it's just frozen there. Maybe it's a lawn flamingo. I don't know. Wait, I keep forgetting to actually hide and sneak around.
Wish I could have random animals wander into my house.
Yeah, I only have the one, or I guess,
the
well,
flamingo
the
be
two.
like, biatch, get out of my house.
Yeah, I mean, that's what cats are for. I think the main reason to have a cat, at least my cat, who is not super friendly, she kind of just, like, sits on the other side of the room and hangs out, but just, like, having a random animal wandering around is just so delightful. I watch her try to do things, and she's just, wow, I'm so bad at this.
You're dead.
Here I am talking shit about the cat, and I can't remember to sneak around and find all the people. Wow.
What do you want me to tell you? I know
No,
nothing.
let's not do that. I should have booby-trapped the beacon, too. Wow, I've really gone soft. I've forgotten how to do everything in this.
Been here a while, haven't you?
Alarm! Over here!
Let me at least talk to my wife.
Looting. Let's do some looting.
Having to spell out so many words phonetically to make sure AI can say things properly should be a new Olympic sport. Or
Yeah.
at least should be.
Let me out.
It's tough. I'm gonna go hit this beacon real quick. I think that's
I think
definitely
it's
my
so
next
crazy that there
agenda.
apparently was a sizable Greek diaspora in Egypt all the way up to the 1900s.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't really know anything about that, and it's something that I've been curious about for a long time. So, like, in Alexandria, a lot of the taxi cabs have meters in Greek, and there's like all these little touches, little Greek touches all over the city that I never understood because I lived there for a relatively short time, and I'm not from there, and it's not, my native culture or anything. But yeah, there's like, even very recently, obviously at this time, and all in between, all the way until now, there's like a really strong like Greek-Egyptian connection.
The gods will not
And long before this time too. Naucratis was founded 1,000 years before. Oh, that was a bad shot. And so yeah, there were like Greek merchants in Egypt for
I'm actually glad there isn't more spoken Greek in the game. Cleopatra with... Just like there has been significant number of Greeks living in southern Italy constantly since the 8th century BC.
Yeah, exactly, like the Greek colonies in Italy.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's just a really strong connection there. There's similar things, not that I know a lot about this, but I know there's like a really, really old Spanish-British connection. Because the Bay of Biscay, a sort of a highway between... Oh yes, I got that one dude. He just blew himself up on the beacon. So there was like a sort of connection there. There are all these things all throughout world history where there are these super tight connections between seemingly distinct places and cultures.
There were 4 others. Do you know if they are all right?
I have no idea, dude.
I will find them.
I was
you
busy
hide
with
here
the
until
beacon.
it is safe to leave.
Scandinavian Vikings in Byzantium.
Yeah. Yeah, the connections between the Rus, the Vikings, and the Arabs are really cool. There were definitely like large-scale trading connections between those things that you would, you know, at a guess would think were like totally disconnected. Let's think of more. What else is there?
That was a more passing phenomenon, though.
Yeah, it was shorter lived. In recent history, there's a number of places in the Texas Hill Country that have like a really, really strong German heritage, because during the 19th century there was just a ton of German immigration, and there were towns in Texas where a dialect of German was spoken until World War I, when you know, anti-German sentiment became so strong. And then north of that, in central Texas, there's a really strong Czech presence. So like there's this bakery, chain bakery that's all over Houston called Kolache Factory, and apparently that's a sort of like Czech cake that was popular at the time that these immigrants came here, and isn't really popular anymore.
Pennsylvania Dutch, of course.
Yeah, I was going to mention them too, the Pennsylvania Dutch, which are some of my ancestors.
Why are you ruining my dream of Greek-speaking Arabic Viking citizens of the Eastern Roman Empire?
I'm not ruining that dream. I strongly support your dream of Greek-speaking Arab Vikings of the Eastern Roman Empire, I think, if I got it right.
I know nothing.
Yeah, I'm all for it. It's kind of funny, like I grew up really near to the Czech areas of Texas, and we just kind of took it for granted that there were like a lot of descendants of Czech immigrants, and it was just kind of one of those like random things that you know about your hometown but don't even really give a lot of thought to. But now, like, looking on a more world historical scale, there's things like that everywhere. I mean, there's thousands of examples of these really thin, short-lived cultural connections between... Where is this dude? Between things that seem totally distant and disconnected.
Get me out of here.
I really can't remember where this guy is.
Where are you going?
Oh, I walked right past him. Look at that. Good thing he wasn't a snake.
Is that you?
I was kind of baffled to
Thanks
find
be
out
to
that
a
the
moon, you
Roman
came a long
Empire
way.
actually lived on long after
Hide right
Rome
here.
fell.
When you are certain
I
no one's
feel
around,
stupid for
get away
having
from the temple.
realized relatively are such a huge Polish population here in Chicago that we always got Pulaski Day off of school.
Pulaski Day? What's Pulaski Day?
I definitely took getting the day off for granted.
I don't even know what that is. The only thing I know it from is that Andrew Bird album that's like, I went to see Pulaski at night, I think is what it's called. And I've wondered since I first discovered that album, I've wondered what the hell that means. I knew it was like a Chicago thing, but that's all I really knew. There's somebody else hidden in here somewhere. I feel like I'm skipping so much loot. Mainly because I just cannot remember the button that finds the loot. It's pretty sad. I'll go hang out in this hiding place for a second and see if I can find more people.
Pulaski was a key figure in the fight for Polish independence.
Oh, interesting. I have to say I don't know anything about this. So he's really significant to Polish people?
Not only the Byzantines, but also the Ottomans at times referred to themselves as Romans.
Yeah. Referring to yourself as Roman is
really?
a weirdly popular
Wow.
thing to do. Yeah, on the subject of Pulaski, I saw that word. I distinctly remember it because I saw it in the name of that album, and I've just, I've never really gone and learned about
Pulaski
it.
Day is the first month.
Casimir Pulaski Day is the first Monday in March. He's also known as the father of the American cavalry. Interesting. Yeah, referring to yourself as Roman is weirdly common. Quick note on gameplay. If anyone at Ubisoft, for whatever reason, ever hears about these videos, please put this back. This is so useful, being able to turn the eagle vision like that. I don't know why they broke that in Valhalla. It's so strange that you can't just like easily face a different direction whenever you want to. I think part of the problem is that my eagle vision is so bad that I keep forgetting to go through carefully.
Bring back
and tag
enemy
everyone.
tagging.
Oh, enemy tagging. Yeah. Forget the thing I said before. First and foremost, bring back enemy tagging. I have no idea who thought it was a good idea to get rid of this, like, everyone's favorite aspect of Assassin's Creed games, but yeah, that was definitely incorrect. I don't even need to poll that many people to know that that was the wrong choice. Got him. Okay. See if I can actually remember. Nope. Push the wrong button again. Wow. I just cannot get that down. It's D-pad down, by the way. That's
The next
thing.
game will be perfect if you can tag enemies and have your horse swim.
Yeah. Oh, I really hope that people at big companies like Ubisoft actually do go watch these super nerdy streams sometime, because this is just jam-packed with useful data that you really couldn't get anywhere else. I think there's like a lot of beta testers, or I don't know if there's a lot of beta testers, but companies like Ubisoft employ beta testers. But they're also like, I kind of imagine they're the most hardcore gamer geeks that you would ever find, and I feel like they aren't actually representative, because a lot of times when they make changes, you can see the motivation behind it, like making the Predator bow not so easy to use. Like, people who just play games all day, every day, were like, this thing is way too fucking easy. It makes it possible that you can take out everybody in a fortress in 2 minutes and not actually have to fight anyone. And they were like, oh yeah, we gotta change this because it's making it not fun. And incorrect. That is only true if you are like a super hardcore gamer who's just like bored with everything. If you play video games for 6 hours on your day off, like I do, 1 day a week, no, give me a sniper rifle, bow and arrow.
The Odessy skill tree. That one was perfect.
Yeah, the Odessy skill tree is
Valhalla
awesome.
is working on transmog, luckily. Set game to remove all HUD elements for ultimate immersion.
Bring back the Odyssey skill tree. That one was perfect. I think Valhalla is working on transmog, luckily. I don't know what transmog means. Wait, remove all heads-up display elements for ultimate immersion? Yeah, sure. We could do that, but I'm having enough trouble remembering what in the world I'm supposed to be doing just while talking on top of the game.
It's where you can customize the look of your gear. Just kidding, it is really hard.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. Yeah, that's just ain't gonna happen. I can barely remember what I'm supposed to be doing while trying to talk about like other things at the same time. There's
so
no
you
way.
can visually have the look you want without sacrificing stats.
Okay. I don't know if y'all can see this actually. Is this coming through on the stream? Yeah, it is. Cool. Okay. I have it on show all. Disabled. Let's see what we got here. Wow. Man, that does look fantastic. I mean, it is definitely maximally immersive.
I think it was rated the most popular new feature when Odyssey came out.
Yeah, it's great. In general, I think the thing that I would say to any of these complaints or conversations or whatever you want to call them is customization is really the magic bullet solution to most of these problems. Like, my biggest complaint about Red Dead Redemption was and always will be that there was no difficulty setting, because the first chapter or two of the game was just way too hard, and I've talked to a dozen people who, played it for 3 hours and gave up on it because the controls are just way too complicated, it's way too hard, to the point that it's just not even fun. And if you really want to go through the story, you have to push through that, but a lot of people just don't. A lot of people are like, it's just too hard, and I've got other things that I can do with my time. But then they've already bought the game, so I guess Rockstar probably doesn't care too much.
My favorite buy it look is bathhouse realness. Hey yo.
Who said that? Who said their favorite part is the bathhouse? I think I know. Yeah, everybody loves sexy bath towel Bayek, for sure.
Did you get the Bick outfit in Valhalla?
No. I didn't know there was a Bayek outfit in Valhalla. Is it one of those ones where it's like a microtransaction that everyone's complaining about? Because if so, then I definitely didn't buy any of those. I usually don't buy things.
They put it in game for a special weekend.
Oh, I must have missed it then. Wow. How do I get around his defenses? Let's see if I can disconnect. Wow. Damn.
Oh man, my mind was blown when I saw the little merchant boy from Origins show up 1,000 years later in Valhalla.
Reda? Isn't his name Reda? Oh shit, I am getting fucked up. I gotta get out of here, run! Oh man, I can't actually tell where my health is either because I turned off the heads-up display. Run away!
It's really weird seeing Ivor in Bayek's outfit, not ever gonna lie.
Yeah, that sounds cool though. I would totally get that. I'm not gonna pay for it, but I would definitely like have it if it were an option. Okay, let's try to get health back. Oh man, look, everyone has found me. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna get killed in my stream. And here I am. Okay. So we just went and hid for a second like cowards. And Who the fuck saw me? How? You're facing the other direction, man. Bullshit. I call bullshit on that.
Too bad there are no healing rations or mushrooms.
Yeah. You pretty much just have to run away and wait. Although, I have to say, gosh, I just really don't know how to handle this dude.
Shit! Well within range!
He is just... there we go. Arrow to the knee. Gets him every time. Yeah, I really like the stripped down nature of this game. I like that there aren't like 4 health slots and you have to like update them to have more by doing a thing. Yeah, I like that it keeps it simple because then I can actually just like focus more on the story and the world, and I'm just not that interested in those little things. Like, I don't know, when there's like 8 different types of health, but they all do approximately the same thing, but slightly different. Anytime I encounter that, I'm like, oh, I don't, like, I have finite mental real estate. Please don't.
I feel like the health bar in Odyssey resets faster than the one in Origins. If it loaded faster, then I'd be okay.
Oh, I think I know who that is too. Somebody who was streaming recently and died multiple times. I think. Oh no, you were playing Origins with a cursed weapon, and you just kept getting killed. That was so good.
This is a holy place, the sacred temple of Amun.
Okay, yeah, this is a holy place. I probably shouldn't be murdering people in here.
That was horrible.
So you say that was
Total
horrible.
facepalm.
The facepalm part was awesome.
Hey now.
Oh, I was supposed to kill that dude. I thought I was rescuing that dude. Oh my gosh. It's so much harder to follow what's going on when you're trying to talk about it at the same time. I thought I was rescuing him and then I just kicked him in the face. This is my feather of Ma'at. So, Ma'at is the goddess of, like... truth is the translation of Ma'at, but it's sort of incomplete. Let's let him finish talking.
So very close to ushering in the perpetual rule of the strong and virtuous. Virtue! The world will give us the power of the gods! What is one boy?
What is one boy?
Papa?
Does Medunamun mean words of Ammon?
Yeah, I think so. I hadn't actually thought about it. Medunamun. It's probably, yeah, Medu and Amun. Words of Amun.
Oh, so close. Hey, one more.
Good catch. Whoever noticed that.
Hey.
Well, I can try. This way, I'll get 2.
It was me.
Sure.
Well...
It was me. The bad part is I know exactly what that means.
Oh, you made me miss. You...
In other words, not the classicist.
I found a hyena cave. A real one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
You're gonna love it. There's like 16 hyenas, and they're so dark and scary.
Oh, 16 hyenas.
I'd rather go hunt.
You definitely know how to say that in Coptic now.
Always get too scared.
Hey.
Medase in huite.
Let's go on a real hunt. Huh?
All right.
Come.
Man, Bayek is like such a cool
What
dad.
are we hunting?
The Oracle wants the pelt of an ibex stag for the ceremony.
You will stand next to the
I feel like this is exactly the kind of dad I would be.
The Magi. When I'm Magi, I'll stand next to the Pharaoh.
Yeah, Mentase, that's it. Did you actually type that in the chat so she would pronounce it correctly?
That's not true.
Wow, nicely done.
The hyena cave.
Yeah.
Enough, you two.
Mentase and Saidic.
The sand is so hot to my feet.
Not
In
really
Bohairic-
so.
Sometimes they light on fire.
No,
That
so
makes you faster.
in Saitic,
I want my feet to light on fire.
the numbers, if there is a number in
is up
the
ahead.
tens place,
Can I
I'm just
come?
going to pause for a second because this is kind of complicated. So, so the numbers from 0 to 10 are the ones you've learned. So they're the full forms. So Y, Snell, Shomant, Fto, Diuso, Shashf or Sashfa, depending on the dialect, I can never remember. Shmoon, Psis or Psit, and Mate. So those are the words that you know from 1 through 10. But if there's a number in the tens place, like for example in the number like 64, 60 is Se, and then in Saitic there's like a prefix form of all the tens place numbers, and then there's a suffix form of all the ones place numbers. So 64 is like Seafta, I think.
Hey, your mother's
So instead
waiting
of
for you.
being Se-to, which is what it would be in Bohairic, there's actually the Afte suffixable form.
We don't want just any stag. We want the pack leader.
Which one is
Pack
he?
leader.
Big.
That will definitely come up in the book.
Bayek be
Eventually.
giving off major sugar daddy vibes.
Sugar daddy.
Senu!
Bayek
come
is
to
like
me.
exactly.
Ah,
Why are you
got it.
calling
Thanks
Senu?
for explaining.
Cenzero
I
told me I
love
should
Shmoo.
steal his feathers. So
Sounds
that
so
my wedding
nice.
ceremony gets me
Yeah,
to the
Thank
it
you
is
for
a
the
great one.
word smooth.
Anubis weighs your heart against a feather. You cannot tamper with this weighing ceremony. It is sacred. See? My eyes and hand are in line with the arrow.
I've got
That
auto
is
aim
the
on,
only
and it's
way
like
to shoot
screwing
true.
everything up.
I wish I could put 100 arrows on this bow.
Hit!
Got him.
Did you hurt him?
A clean shot to the heart hardly hurts at all. Let us get that belt.
Nice.
We will take this to the oracle before it gets dark.
Got
One
that
day,
ibex
I
pelt.
want to shoot an arrow through the sun.
It's a great
Who's the
idea.
creature he's talking
can.
about, the devourer
Your
of
arrow will
souls?
have to become Senu.
When you fail the weighing
Imagine.
test.
All my arrows are Senus.
Yeah.
I'll be able
So
to hunt
Amit,
anything.
the
You
swallower
said you'd like
or the
to see Pharaoh
devourer.
up close.
Yeah,
He's the
What if you stand with me by his side?
can I do that?
As
crocodile,
my son and the future
Wait.
Magi. Yes.
crocodile, lion, hippo.
Papa,
He's like a
what is
chimera.
Magi really?
The first Magi was a protector of the Pharaoh. But now, it means you must protect all the people of Egypt. Not just protect them, but work for their well-being.
Oh, Papa, I'm so excited to be Magi one day. You know all the secrets of Siwa. What if I never go up to be a Magi?
Of course you will. You are my son.
But I get scared. I try to be brave, but sometimes it's hard.
Hold
Oh,
on.
yeah, I remember what happens
Let's go
here.
this way.
This
When
one's
I was about your age, sometimes I got scared too. Your grandfather was a well-known Magi, and he wanted me to bring honor to the family when I succeeded him.
Yeah?
One day, he took me up this way. At the top, he said something to me.
What if I never grow up to be a
single word.
Magi? Foreshadowing.
It changed me.
yeah, no spoilers.
got
So I
over my
climbed up
fear.
here for no reason.
knew I
Also,
could do
Abu
anything
Salim
I
was the
needed to.
perfect choice to voice
What did he
Bayek.
say?
I will tell you once we are there.
Yeah. I actually don't know his name. Abu Salim is his name. Great voice actor. Bayek is just, he's such a relatable character.
Sploosh.
Sploosh. That's the one word he said. Okay, is he actually... Can he actually come up here? Oh my gosh, he just ran off. Wow. Let's go get my son. He was just wandering off by himself.
I'm curious to see if gaming is ever going to start moving away from being merely violence-based.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, it definitely says something about us. That given a world where we can do anything we want, the number one thing we want to do is... Oh, sorry. That was rude. The number one thing we want to do is just murder people.
From fighting is too high, sadly.
Yeah. I think that's kind of a human nature thing. I don't know.
I want to build a house and run errands in an Egyptian setting, like in Skyrim.
What did your friend
Yeah,
say?
totally. Build a house and run errands. Like, you know, Minecraft is one of the funnest games, and there's, depending on how you play, there's very little... Oh, this is so good. I love this this component of the narrative.
Yes, Papa.
Hey, trust me, you can.
I do. I will.
Jump then.
We stand cowards.
Come back. You're not ready.
I can do it, Papa. I can.
Shut up, you filthy little...
Poor
No,
Henry.
wait, I want a Sims-style game set in ancient Egypt.
Yeah, I think there are people making games like that. I see
yes.
things every once in a while.
Genzera will be fine. I will take care of it.
Medjay Bayek!
Go, now.
I'm scared. I don't want to go home alone.
Oh, Emu, just do what I say, please. Go!
With them speaking
Poor
real
Henry.
Coptic.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Medjay Bayek!
Yeah, let's do
I'm
it.
indeed Medjay here. Who summons me?
Sheath your weapon and
The
follow
only
me.
violence in a Sims game is locking them in a room to die or drowning them in the pool.
Oh man, I haven't played Sims in ages, in a decade.
Come.
But yeah,
Who are you to give commands to me?
You piece of shit. We don't have time to piss away.
it's like godlike violence. I don't think I can actually beat these guys no matter what I do. But I guess you still gotta try. Let's go take out these guys up top. Where'd they go? Okay. Join me up here. Let's see what we can do. Wait, what? Where'd you come from?
Would be cool to build a family tomb and bury the generations in there.
Piece of shit. We don't have time.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much cool stuff you could do. There we go. With sort of like simulating the ancient world, if you set out deliberately to do that, and then you had writers, or just had people involved who knew the ancient languages too, and could create like dialogue in the ancient language, it would be far and away the best learning tool we could ever have for the study of ancient languages. It'd be just, you know, like nothing else.
Booted Sims 2 up for the first time in like 2 years and it was wonderful.
I bet.
I have all 1.0 expansion packs. It's fairly insane.
Okay, what's going on here?
Didn't want to be seen, sir. Kept to the shadow.
Wait, didn't I already kill Medunamun? I'm so confused. I thought I saw him.
Wow, that's intense, but the soundtrack is a mood.
We are pleased you have joined us, Medjay. It is of great importance that we gain
I
access
actually
to
dressed
the
up
vault.
as a Sim for
The
Halloween.
temple priests stubbornly
With the little
refuse
diamond on your
assistance.
head and everything?
You are perhaps reluctant
So as
out
a
of
normal
loyalty
human being.
to the oracle.
Ah,
We have someone
got it.
to help
Yes.
convince you otherwise.
you can tell this dude's evil just by like the way his voice sounds. Whoever is that voice actor is just like
Medjay.
nailing the evil guy voice.
I created a little diamond out of paper and stuck it on my head.
Cute. Classic.
Enough delay! Come!
And spoke in Sim language. LOL.
Whoa, this is gonna be... This is some heavy
Lots of
stuff coming up
random
here.
words and gestures.
Nice. Oh man, I should get something like Sims in German. That would be such a useful language learning tool.
Your son has something to explain to you. Would the ibis show him the orb?
Oh man, I kind of want to skip this cutscene. Don't they murder the child? That is just... I know they're going to, and it's still just like so unpleasant.
Yeah, so much everyday vocabulary.
Papa,
Yeah, go
they
ahead.
need you to tell them about the vault. They need
I'm
to know how to
skipping.
use this.
Skipping the cutscene.
Skip it.
They're gonna murder the child. We don't need to watch that.
Can't you set origins to a foreign language?
Funny question. Funny you should ask. So, theoretically yes, but it doesn't work.
You are no one. By
Oh my gosh.
nothing. Father to nobody.
Oh, that guy's creepy.
The voice acting quality in most other languages is creepy anyway.
Jeez. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and skip this one too. This is a little violent.
Greet you.
Oh no, I can't.
Lord of the
Wow,
Desert
I
awaits.
really took him out. He deserved it though. So, I tried to get
Yes,
to switch
I
it
agree,
to...
although the French version of Valhalla is pretty good.
So I can get the French version. I could get French, Spanish, Portuguese, and English. But apparently I can only get German if I buy the game.
Ever played Age of Mythology? The little Greek units actually answer commands in ancient Greek.
Oh, nice. I guess it's loading? I don't know. I think it's loading behind where the picture of myself is, so I can't actually tell what's going on.
The Egyptian ones in Egyptological pronunciation.
Which is not terrible. Like, Egyptological pronunciation is, I guess, better than nothing. But
Well done, my friend.
Coptic would be way better.
You brought joy to Siwa.
I should get to Alexandria. I need to see Aya.
Don't be in too much of a hurry.
I
Siwa will
remember
always need
playing
its
Pharaoh
Magi.
when I was little.
But you are the protector
I
here
just
now.
interviewed someone who
I'm
was
always pleased to
obsessed
help.
with it.
Come see me when you are certain you are ready to go. We will drink beers to our friends.
I've never played Pharaoh, but I've definitely heard of it. It's like, it gets talked about a lot in archeo gaming contexts. Okay, I got the ibis.
The German dub of most games is a little sterile. No accents, and they left out all the Egyptian words.
Oh, that's a bummer. But I guess I don't really
By the
need
way,
the
are
Egyptian
there
words.
any movies recorded in Coptic or other forms of Egyptian?
Not that I know of. Are there any movies in Coptic or other forms of Egyptian? So there are occasional phrases. The Mummy movie, not the oldest Mummy movie, the one with Brendan Fraser, the Mummy movie. There are, I think there are Egyptian phrases in there. There are some not so good Egyptian phrases in the new Mummy movie. And then in Stargate, there are a few Egyptian, and Stuart Smith was the consultant on that, and he put real Egyptian in that movie, and he put some kind of like inside jokes, like Egyptological jokes in there. I'm trying to think what else. There's a movie called Pharaon that is, I think it's a Polish movie from the 1960s or 70s. Absolutely fantastic movie. And I think it has some legitimate Egyptian in it, if I remember correctly. At this point, I really can't remember. I think I watched like a Spanish dub of it or something, because that's all I could find. Life regenerate during combat, charged heavy attack. Oh, I like charged heavy attack. I should probably get that. Oh wait.
What is your favorite
save up
movie
for
set
that.
in ancient Egypt?
Favorite movie set in ancient Egypt. I guess it would be Pharaoh. I mean, Stargate isn't set in ancient Egypt, but that's definitely my favorite movie with an ancient Egyptian theme. That's a really fun movie. There's The Egyptian, which is actually quite good. It has elements from the Setna stories and elements from Sinuhe, I think, kind of blended together. It was a novel that was turned into this kind of like Hollywood epic type movie. Tool kill.
Oh, I love Stargate.
Yeah, Stargate's just an absolute classic. We want charged heavy
The
attack.
new Cleopatra movie with Gal Gadot would have been a cool opportunity to have real Egyptian in it.
Yeah, does it not? I don't know whether it does or not. I don't know anything about it. Kind of weird that they would choose an Israeli woman to play Cleopatra, but I guess Greek. You know, I feel like she wouldn't have seemed quite that foreign, but whatever. I should definitely get a better shield.
I looked at the cast and it doesn't seem like they have much by way of authenticity. I heard the audiobook of the novel Sinuhe the Egyptian. Wasn't it written by a Finnish dude?
Oh, I don't know who wrote it, actually. I've never read it, so the Egyptian novel, that is. Yeah, I've never read it. Well, I'm really not using my range of possible combat and stuff. Prisoners in the temple. Yeah, let's go do that. Oh, I totally forgot to talk about the architectural elements in the temple when I was there. So yeah, let's go back to the temple and let's check out some. Lexi, I think, was asking about tents. Like, would there really have been tents everywhere like there is here? Like right now. I would guess probably yes. There's no real way to know for sure because those wouldn't have survived. You know, they wouldn't have been placed in tombs, so they wouldn't have been preserved that way. And in the Nile Valley, they wouldn't have survived because cloth decays pretty quickly on archaeological timescales. But I mean, if you spent any time in the deserts of Egypt today, you know that there are tents and sort of semi-permanent buildings with cloth components today. And then when we look at Egyptian architecture, a large number of the stylistic elements are actually derived from tents. So even here, when I'm looking through, there's really no way for me to point, but if you look at these, the negative space created by these balusters, whatever, this kind of pointy tassel shape, it's when it's painted, it's called a Hecker frieze. So that's fourth HKR, Hecker. And those little tassels are actually like if you imagine a cloth tent, or we don't even have to imagine a cloth tent. Let's just go look at one. If you have a piece of cloth for the wall that is running this way, and then you have the top of the cloth where it's just kind of like loose fibers. This is one way to sort of create a hem, right? You just tie off, you know, every so often just tie off the loose threads, and then you get these little tassel things sticking up at the top. And the Hecker frieze is probably a like a skeuomorphic rendition of that in stone or in paint or whatever. It's like a representation of a fabric wall. And then if you look at things like the pyramid complex, oh my gosh, it is so hard to talk about these things.
Were painted, but were the statues in them painted too? Like the original Greek statues?
Yes, yeah, statues were very often painted, and we have examples of statues that are still painted. So if you look at something like the statue of Rehotep, you'll know it immediately if you find it because he looks like a 70s porn star. Rehotep, he has this like like 70s stash going on. And it's his wife, Nofret and Rehotep, sitting side by side. And that statue is fully painted, and the paint's original, so you can get a sense of what painted statues would have looked like. In a lot of cases, paint has flaked off, or, exposure to the elements. Wow, this is not working. Really? In other cases, they weren't painted at all, and then in still others, the paint has actually survived and still has
The holy place, the sacred temple of Amun.
it still has almost its original vibrance, because the paints used mineral pigments, and mineral pigments don't fade with time, whereas organic pigments do fade with time. So yeah, things like Egyptian blue and ochres and orpiment and all of these like metal-based pigments are really stable even over centuries. So we have pretty much the original colors, and the original colors looked a lot like this. They did a wonderful job in this game with the color palette. I think it's probably, if I could pick one thing that makes it feel so true, it would be the color palette.
Did they use lapis lazuli when not crafting jewelry?
If I wasn't a priest, I'd
How
bash
often-
in all your skulls.
How often do they use lapis lazuli when not crafting jewelry? Not at all. So they didn't have the technology to create ultramarine, which is it was invented in the Middle Ages. It's extracted. It's the mineral pigment that's in lapis lazuli that makes it blue, extracted through this extraction process that uses like beeswax and some other things, and basically like it makes sort of a gum, and then the gum absorbs the ultramarine, and then the ultramarine is then like leached out of this gum. They didn't have that process, so they weren't. And if you just grind up lapis lazuli itself, you get kind of a grayish powder. The color doesn't actually come through because there are so many different adulterants. Once you powder it, there's just too much other stuff in there. You have to actually extract the pigment using this really complex process that wasn't invented yet. So they exclusively used lapis lazuli for carving and making jewelry. They didn't extract the pigment from it, but they had Egyptian blue, which is a copper compound that's made through this really complex chemical process, which actually to me seems more complicated than the process of extracting ultramarine from lapis lazuli. But it's also easier to experiment because copper is a lot cheaper than lapis lazuli. So you can tinker around and get pigments
without being seen.
Without wasting quite as much money.
That's all of them.
Okay, I set everyone free. I think I murdered pretty much all the bad guys. I definitely haven't got all the treasure yet, though. Let's find all the treasure. So there's a treasure over here. And then while we're on our way there... Wow, that voice is annoying. So while we're on our way to find this treasure, we'll check out some architectural elements. These look nice. I mean, clearly they're just repeating a pattern here. I think it's not just a texture. I think if you actually get up close to it, there is depth to the surface. There's a 3D surface there. But obviously it's just repeated. Let's see who that is real quick before we move on. This looks like a... Who is that? It's the
No
crown
double
of
crown on temple walls.
No double crown on temple walls. You know, I don't know if that's a rule. I don't know. There's the name of Jet here, who's like an early dynastic pharaoh. So that's kind of interesting. It's like a really old Serach name. And then this goddess is probably Sekhmet or Sokhmi. Her name is really Sokhmi, but everyone says Sekhmet. And then there's a red crown here. So no double crowns on temple walls. Is that like a general rule? They always have people in either the red or the white crown? It may be. If so, it's just not something that... It's not a rule that I know. Someone looks to be Thoth. Yeah, I don't know. This is definitely Amun, and that's a real statue that they've used. It's actually a Nubian statue of Taharka, who was Nubian but was also an Egyptian pharaoh after the Nubian conquest of Egypt. This is a scene from a Book of the Dead. Don't know who's, like Hunefer or Ani or one of those really famous ones.
Oh,
so
I
that's
was observing
Anubis.
and asking why no double crowns were on the walls, haha.
Oh, why are there no double crowns on the walls? I don't know. I thought you were saying, like, as a general rule, there are no double crowns on temple walls, which is something that, like, it could very easily be true, and I just wouldn't have noticed if no one pointed it out to me. Because, you know, the red crown or the white crown or the double crown, once you get to the New Kingdom, they're kind of more or less interchangeable as symbols, because the division between Upper and Lower Egypt, it's a real geographic division, but it hasn't been a politically significant thing where there's one guy in one place wearing a white crown and one guy in another place wearing the red crown, and there are two distinct cultures and all of that. That hasn't been the case for millennia at that point. It's kind of just a remembered cultural symbol. So yeah, if you see pretty much any crown...
Lol, I wish I knew, but I'm no Egyptologist. Ask me about 5th century Athenian architecture and I got you.
5th century Athenian architecture. I'm assuming BC. And, yeah. That's actually... I hope you're streaming Odyssey. I think I saw you streaming the other day, and I just didn't see the alert until, like, way too late. Your stream was already over by the time I jumped on. But there's a lot of really cool Greek architecture in Odyssey. There's, like, wooden temples, which I believe, and I'm sure you'll correct me if I'm wrong about this, but I believe we don't have any surviving evidence of Greek wooden temples. But then, of course, on the stone temples, you have all these wooden architectural elements, like triglyphs and the fluted columns and everything that have been copied in stone. So you have, like, these skeuomorphic architectural elements that are taken from the time when they were physically building these with wood, and they're just like, it's a direct consequence of the building material and the construction methods, but then they're just being recreated in stone, which is exactly what we have in Egyptian temples too, but from a totally different cultural context, which I think is just, it's so delightful. It's one of my favorite things about traveling is when you can see kind of the...
No, the wood didn't survive.
The wood did not survive.
I'll be streaming later tonight and tomorrow if you've got free time. I'll be talking about the temples.
Yeah, I'll definitely get onto that stream later tonight, and probably tomorrow. I don't know. I don't know what my plans are tomorrow. My wife and I had planned to go visit the Gonzales Cannon. So if you've seen one of the historical flags of Texas is it's like a little, I think it's a bronze cannon, and it says "Come and Take It" underneath. And it was created because the city of Gonzales requested a cannon from, I think, the Spanish government. And then after the Mexican Revolution and, like, Mexican independence from the Spanish government, the Mexican government demanded it back from the city of Gonzales. And the city of Gonzales responded with "Come and Take It," and they created this flag with the cannon on it and the words "Come and Take It." It's this really significant symbol. It's been largely co-opted by gun nuts these days in Texas. In fact, if you look at those photos of Ted Cruz on his way to Cancun, his mask has the Gonzales cannon with the "Come and Take It" on it, which just annoys the shit out of me because, you know, of all the like, you know, awesome classic historical symbols for a cowardly little bitch like Ted Cruz to wear, I just want to go pull it off his face. But the true history is really cool, and they found the cannon, and it's in a museum in Gonzales, Texas. I think they hid it next to a riverbank, and then it was later found, and because of its...
That
so they found it.
Super cool minus the Ted Cruz part, haha.
Yeah,
We'll
minus
be
the Ted
streaming
Cruz
at 8
part.
p.m. tonight and from 10 to 1130 a.m. or in the evening from 5 to 7 p. And we're both in Central Time, so yay, no time change.
Okay, I'm going to actually go look at your comment and read this out, just in case anyone who's watching wants to go check that out. Okay, so streaming tonight at 8 p.m. Central Time, and from 10 to 11:30 tomorrow in the morning, also Central Time, and then 5 to 7 p.m. Central Time tomorrow.
Oh, for sure, streaming at Henning12.
L. Henning?
Make sure you
1-2.
save the videos so I can watch them later.
Save the videos, Lexi. Put them
We'll
on
save the
YouTube.
videos.
Once I discovered that I could download them from Twitch, that was like...
Thanks.
That's when I actually decided to go do this complete walkthrough, because it was like, oh, I can actually save the videos forever and have them as like a permanent record of the things I noticed. That's so useful. Big shout out to Twitch, actually, for...
Yes, we'll actually
and
be
YouTube.
doing 2 full Odyssey playthroughs.
Oh, cool. Yeah, definitely go watch that.
Where does Henning12 come from, if I may ask?
Where does L. Henning12 come from? I'm not answering that question. I'm going to let you, L. Henning, because I don't know if you're if you want your first name to be public information.
One is with Cassandra and is a mythological playthrough, and the second is with Alexios for a more historically accurate playthrough.
Okay, so we've got 2 complete streams, Cassandra and Alexios. Alexios, I suppose, is more historically accurate because it was such a male-dominated place, maybe. And Cassandra, just because, why not? Let's see what she said. Oh, Cassandra is a mythological playthrough, and Alexios is a more historically accurate playthrough.
Henning is just first initial and last name. 12 is the age I was when I got my Gmail.
L. Henning 12, first initial, last name, and then little L. Henning was 12 years old when she got her Gmail. And you put your age. That's so great. Everyone is, in like 10 years... Everyone is going to think...
Curious is that Henning I my dad's first name is...
In like 10 years, everyone was going to think you were born in 2012.
This area is off limits.
I love it. Wait, do I still not have the thing? When do I get the thing? The, what's it called? Assassination... The Hidden Blade. Oh, gosh. When do I get that in this game? Is it after the bathhouse?
I always think about changing it, but I am too lazy.
Yeah, and like, who cares? Almost everything I use is Christian Casey 86, which immediately tells everyone my age.
Hidden Blade is given to you by Aya.
Oh, Aya gives me the Hidden Blade. So I have to go to Alexandria to get it, which I should do then. Oh, I thought I just got another ability point.
Gotta go to Alexandria to get it.
How do I only have 1 ability point? I thought I just got a level up just now. Okay, not sure.
You actually unlocked the quest upon killing Medunamun.
Oh, it sounds like someone's hinting that they want to go to Alexandria. Like, hey, yo, you already unlocked that quest. Why don't you just do it? Well, because I gotta, like, I'm not gonna just leave this fort unconquered. I mean, what kind of, you know, like, slacker do you think I'm gonna be here? I have left plenty of money on the table in this playthrough, I will say. I have not obsessively gone through and collected everything of value, like I normally do. I normally, like, scan every area obsessively And once I have the little smoke bombs, I normally throw a smoke bomb to free up
also,
an
I
ammo.
have to play as Alexios for the historically accurate playthrough because it was impossible for a woman to be a mercenary.
So Alexios for the historically accurate playthrough because it was impossible for a woman to be a mercenary. Yeah, that makes sense. I know that's something that people have complained about. It was crafting that I have available. That's what I wanted to do. Hang on. Do I want to waste anything? Do I want to save up for this? Let's see. Yeah, let's just go ahead and do it. Yeah, that's something that quite a lot of people have complained about. So people complain about, you know, kind of revisionist history.
Accuracy because otherwise women couldn't do anything.
Yeah, exactly. Women, with total accuracy, women wouldn't be able to do anything. And I would also argue, so there's this thing that Studio Ghibli films use a lot. They use kind of a world as we would want it to be setting. So like in My Neighbor Totoro, for example, everyone in that movie is almost impossibly kind, impossibly helpful, impossibly giving. Not the way people are in real life. In real life, people suck sometimes. But in that movie, every single human being in that movie is a decent, kind person. And that's totally intentional. Like, the point of the world in that movie is to be an idealized world as we would want it to be. And I see no reason why you can't do that in a historical fiction setting. My historical fiction novel that I'm writing definitely has components of that. There are things where I just straight up changed the way things are in that book because it's my story, and I don't like the way things were, and I want them to be different. And part of what that does, its
yeah,
function.
I still need to read your draft.
Yeah, go read my draft. Everyone go read the drafts of the first chapter of my novel and give me feedback. I am ridiculously thick-skinned when it comes to creative works.
Miyazaki makes the best movies.
Yeah, they're just like, it's Miyazaki makes the best movies was the comment, and like, what can you even say back to that? They're like, it's some of the best creative works. Princess Mononoke is easily one of the best stories I've ever heard, if not the best, and definitely the best animated film I've ever seen. It's just like the best in every single possible way it can be. And he's, Princess Mononoke has plenty of revisionist history in it.
I can access your book. We'll totally read and provide feedback for you.
Okay, I'm gonna... Since I'm already in the menu, I'm going to go ahead and
I have seen Spirited Away at least 50 times.
Okay, I have the link here. Spirited Away is good. Oops. I like Spirited Away a lot. I love the folktale elements in it.
Can't decide which is my favorite. Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, and Howl's Moving Castle are tied. URL.
Okay, link in the chat. Can't decide which is my favorite. Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, and Howl's Moving Castle are tied. Yeah, that kind of tells me where you fall on the Mononoke versus Totoro alignment. Apparently, it's kind of like Beatles and Stones, or Ford versus Chevy. Like, people tend to be either...
save, tab, and read tomorrow.
People tend to be either Mononoke people or Totoro people, apparently. I took a class on Studio Ghibli films, and so that's where I'm getting all these things from. The class is taught by this really awesome professor at the new school named Steele Philippek, who also does like consulting on mixed media and all this cool stuff, and he's like an expert on Miyazaki's films. Oh, we need to go solve this papyrus puzzle. So I took a few...
fantasy with no actual villain, which is great for escapism.
There's no villain in Mononoke either. I would argue that the unseen distant king. What's the word that's used in the movie for the king? I can't remember. He's the only thing that even really approaches a villain in Princess Mononoke. People
Mikado.
think Mikado.
Maybe.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to watch it again. And I always watch it with subtitles, so like the words don't stick because I never hear them. Like obviously, the Japanese words don't stick because I don't know Japanese. I just tried to loot these bushes, by the way. I assumed they would have something healthy in them. Japanese words don't stick because I don't know any Japanese, and then the English words don't stick because I'm just reading them. Oh, gonna totally murder this guy. Looks like he's oppressing the peasants.
Between Lady Eboshi, Jigo, and the great spirit of the forest. Lots of gray areas.
Yeah, and Lady Eboshi is my favorite character in that movie. So, I don't know if that just like makes me an asshole. The real villain is industrialization. Yeah, totally. Definitely, I have no problem coming out as anti-industrialization.
Ambivalence.
Yeah, and I feel like it also in a really interesting way, it adds an element of realism to the movie. While of course there's nothing realistic about that movie in terms of you know, the world building. There's tons of fantasy elements in there. Oh man, I can smash these. That's kind of fun. Sorry guys, you'll have to make more. Yeah. That's too much fun not to do.
What does it say about me? I wonder if one of my favorite movies is Grave of the Fireflies. I can't watch it a second time, but I did really well.
Oh man, yeah, I've never seen it. I can't bring myself to watch it. I keep thinking it's Grave of the Fireflies is the movie. I know it's one of the best movies.
I cannot watch that movie again either.
I know it's one of the best movies ever made, and I don't think I'll ever watch it because the things I've heard about it, I'm just like, when am I ever going to feel like being that unhappy? Okay, so I'm working on the papyrus puzzle now.
I kept putting it off for years, but I was so glad I finally saw it.
Okay, so I feel like you put it off for years, and you're glad you watched it. I feel like you're saying that I should watch it. And maybe I will. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll make myself watch it.
You never feel like watching it, but if you make yourself do it, you'll be happy you did.
Okay. Okay, I'll do it. I'll watch it. You've actually convinced me. So I was kind of on the fence about whether people say it's a great movie, but people also say like, what is that movie with Jared Leto and Jennifer Connelly that's just like the most depressing shit you've ever seen? I think it's Aronofsky. Requiem for a Dream. Like that's one of those movies that everyone is like, oh, you have to watch it. It's such an amazing movie. No, I don't think so. I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't try to convince anyone to watch that movie. It is a great work of art, but it's
the kind of movie you should watch with your wife cuddled under blankets with lots of tea and snacks.
That's Grave of the Fireflies, I assume, not Requiem for a Dream. Is the kind of movie you should watch cuddled under blankets with tea and snacks. It just sounds so sad. I just don't want to be sad.
Yeah.
But there's like Enter the Void is one of those movies. The title credits are this like perfect.
And a box of tissues.
Yeah, that's the thing. A box of tissues because it will make you cry. Enter the Void is one of these movies that's like this incredible work of art. The title sequence is just unparalleled. It's like the perfect depiction of like the experience of being on like a decently sized dose of LSD. It just perfectly captures the sort of visuals that you experience on hallucinogens, and it's so cool. And then you get to the movie, and it's this like incredibly like hyper real, very raw experience of this guy's life and death. And I will never recommend that movie to anyone. Definitely go watch the title sequence, especially if you've ever taken hallucinogens, because it's spot on. They do such a great job of recreating that. But then the movie itself, it's just like misery and sadness for 2 hours. I don't want to do that. I'll never recommend the movie to anyone, because like I just don't. The world has enough misery and sadness in it. I just don't see a need to put more. And that's just going back to the main. Enter the Void. Definitely watch the title sequence. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube easily enough. But yeah, I'll go ahead and put it up here. I'll find it real quick. I think Kanye just totally ripped it off for the All the Lights music video. But it's also worth watching. Oh, there's my own voice. Great. So there's the Enter the Void opening sequence.
The fireflies made me cry, but then again I cried even harder.